This is the pivot where we tackle real issues that are central to our game. Today, we're joined by St. Francis Xavier's head coach of the women's program, Coach Lee Anna Osei, who is also the founding director of the Black Canadian Coaches Association. And we also have Blake Murphy, who is a Raptors reporter with The Athletic. Hope you guys are doing well. I want to get straight into it as this is a subject matter that keeps on coming up year after year, but it's important to tackle. So, Coach Lee, I'm going to come to you first with this one. But we are currently seeing 7 NBA coaching vacancies. And a familiar name that keeps on coming up is the Spurs assistant coach, Becky Hammon, to fill maybe potentially one of those positions. But there's other names in the NCAA game right now, such as Kara Lawson and Dawn Staley. But do you think that this is the first year that we will see a women coaching an NBA team?
I do believe it is going to be the first year. Becky Hammon is a GOAT, and she's not just a candidate. She is an NBA coach. She's done it. She stepped in for Greg Popovich in the past. She's done everything from scouting to recruitment to scouting to player development to writing game plans. She's interviewed for other jobs. I think she's just a logical option at this point, and with a ton of job openings, I think now's the time.
I hope you're right, and odds are it's going to happen eventually. And Sav, you mentioned 7 job openings and a number of candidates, and you could add Teresa Weatherspoon in New Orleans to that list as well. The thing that stands out to me more than the number of obvious candidates is that we have 7 NBA openings right now, and we're down to only 5 head coaches in the NBA who were hired before 2018. So you talk about a league that's driven by success and a bit of a copycat league where if one thing works, other teams would be willing to try it. Well, what teams are doing right now to find their head coaches isn't working. We have 2 coaches this year who are one and done. We have 25 around the league who haven't been in the roles for more than 3 years because teams bring someone in and move on to the next. And, there isn't a good explanation. There's an explanation. It's not a good explanation as to why a woman hasn't got a shot in one of those roles yet. But the current way we find head coaches isn't effective. And there is a lot of woman coaching talent out there.
Let's bring this back to the W for a second here, because we've seen talented coaches, male or female, regardless of gender, and some even former ex-NBA players such as Derek Fisher or Bill Laimbeer, coach at WNBA teams, but they don't make it over to the NBA side. Why do you think that is, Blake?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer. The reasons that teams might give would be something like, oh, well, the WNBA is in season when we'd be doing interviews, or there are stylistic differences. But I think this really comes down to kind of what I said earlier about this being a copycat league, where it was only once we saw a coach coming from the G League have a lot of success that other teams started being like, oh, we can use the G League as a source of coaching talent. I think that'll eventually happen with whether it's women coaches or coaches coming out of the WNBA or both. Someone like Cheryl Reeve with the success that she's had, you can't tell me that the skill set there doesn't translate. It's just, I think it's going to take one team to take the jump and show that, yes, this is a path. And then you'll have 3 or 4 teams, trying to go down that same path or at least expanding their candidates.
I'd be interested in just seeing, how much more can we incentivize NBA teams to bring on coaches from the WNBA to present those opportunities. And I think part of this is looking at the WNBA format. I don't think it's athlete-centered enough. A lot of WNBA players are playing year-round. They're playing the WNBA, but then some of our superstars, such as Diana Taurasi, are actually being paid to not play so that they can rest their bodies before they go back overseas. And so when I think about, what's in it for me as a coach, we know that, WNBA coaches aren't paid as much. We know that the league is significantly shorter. And I think these are some of the rationale that comes up when we look at, what are the reasons why coaches like a Derek Fisher or like a Nikki Collin who left the W to go back to and coach the NCAA. These are the kind of things that we have to look at, for the next 25 years of the W.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I like the word that you use, incentivize, coach, because what more can NBA players do or NBA teams do to make sure that women get an equal opportunity at a head coaching position as well? And having spoken to players in the past, it's not really about the respect or the skill or the talent level. So we got to really address what that barrier is, and hopefully that will change moving forward. But thank you to both of you for sharing your opinion here on The Pivot. Hope to have you guys back on soon.